All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to probably, it might be my favorite episode ever of all time that we end up doing. This is going to be our 20-year retrospective review of the Sorcerer's Stone, which is undoubtedly my favorite movie of all time. Is it cinematically the best movie? No. Is it the best shot movie ever? No, that's not what that is. When you ask me what my favorite movie is, it's that. I don't, other than the first Toy Story movie, I don't know any other movie inside and out, shot for shot, word for word, like the first movie. I've probably seen it at least 300 times in my life. Like, I don't think that's an exaggeration. As a kid, I watched it multiple times a week. As an adult, I watched the whole series at least 3 times a year. I'm amped up, guys. All right, I'm not. Could you try again? All right, Siri, don't talk to me right now. This is much more important. Anyway, I digress. I'm sober, people. Okay, I'm not amped up on anything. This is Harry Potter, baby.
Except
I didn't take Felix Felicis before I made this. Before I made this video. Anyway, so these glasses, people, Brandon can attest, are a prescription.
And yeah, they are.
They don't have the nose pads. I've been hunting these down for 20 years. I got them this year, and I finally have prescription Harry Potter glasses. Mm-hmm. There was one day at work where my contact was messed up. You were there, where I had to have my mother drop glasses off to me because I couldn't see, and these were them. But anyway, we can't talk about that. Harry Potter, it's 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Brandon, first of all, can you believe that the movie is double digits and 2 decades old?
So
it doesn't feel like it.
No. And when I wrote this title on the board, which is "You're a 20-year-old Harry," I was like, no. I thought it was what?
Like 10 years old, maybe 15
no.
max. And that 15
I thought 15. I
old.
thought I was gonna write 15. And then I'm like, wait a minute. No, it's 20. Oh, God. Oh, no. And then I fell down to my knees and I screamed to the heavens.
As your back gave out as well. Because
if
you think about it like this movie, and we've been enjoying this movie and franchise longer. What the oh, my God.
Son of a bitch!
2 whole decades.
And then I fell down to my knees and I screamed to the heavens.
As his back gave out from old age. Because we are crusty old men. And
indeed.
And Brandon, the people at work, the kids who call us crusty old men are younger than the movie of the Sorcerer's Stone alone. And we're most likely born closer to Azkaban and in between Chamber and it's crazy. We're getting to that time. 2 decades.
I will give a nice shout out to Lillian though. Remember, yes. she was like, I thought you guys were 20. It's like,
thank God. Thank God.
Yeah. Good. Keep thinking that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I did not see it opening weekend. No, wait, I take that back. I did see it opening weekend. I did not see it opening day.
Okay.
So I was not there opening day, I don't think. But it was probably a Saturday. Saturday is probably when I saw it. And I went with my mom, and I remember very clearly, not a whole lot of it, but I
Okay.
remember seeing like the ending, you know, with Coral taking his, you know,
The turban.
turban off of his head. I guess that's what they call it in the book, is turban. So
Yep.
That's fine. Don't cancel me.
That might even be canceled for that.
That might even be the technical term. Watch
It's
me
like,
be canceled for just being ignorant.
it's like we go back and look at our illustrated copy of Sorcerer's Stone, and every time it says turban, it's removed like head wrapping or something. We just never knew. We're canceled.
Yeah, exactly. They Dr. Seussed it basically, but yeah. So I remember that very clearly. The whole ending with the fire and you know the Mirror of Erised and all of that kind of nice stuff. So I remember that being a child. What did it come out in the summer
No,
of
it was November.
2001? Okay. Yeah, that makes
I believe
sense,
it
'cause
was
I think
either November 11th, November 15th. I want to say November 15th.
okay.
But
It throws me off a little bit as the
there's
series
some
goes
weird
on,
dates,
because
yeah.
they did not always stick to that
So
November thing.
the first two came out in November. The third one, it was November of 2001, November of 2002, skips 2003, 2004 we get Azkaban, and that was in July. I do remember 2005 is Goblet, that came out around November, and then I think throughout the rest of the series it was summer release. So
Okay.
only three of them came out in November. The other ones are all summer movies.
Yeah. See, that's what throws me off about
part
it.
one of Deathly Hallows was November, and then the following year, part two came out in July. So 4 and 4.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 100% sure.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah. Anyway, we got on a tangent, but is there anything else you wanted to mention about your original viewing of the movie before we talk about it?
No, mostly because I can't remember anything else about it.
It's funny you say what you did, because I identify with like maybe about half of the story. So if my cousins weren't going to see the movie on opening day, I wouldn't have seen it on opening weekend probably at all.
Okay.
I was getting ready for school that Friday morning, and I only remember it because it was a pivotal thing. And my mom, I was gonna get ready, and she goes, "Hey, your cousins, which are my two favorite cousins that I grew up with, I have a lot of affinity for." She says they're gonna go see this new Harry Potter movie. Do you want to go see it with them? I'm like, what? I don't have to go to school? She goes, yeah. And I'm like, well, of course. So we go see the movie, and I don't remember a whole lot of the movie. I remember it in thirds. I remember like the beginning of each act almost.
Okay.
I do remember the beginning of the trailers. Actually, the only trailer I remember was a trailer for the live action Scooby-Doo movie, because they show a silhouette, because it's Warner Brothers, and they show like a silhouette, the ears up, and it's supposed to make you think it's Batman.
Yes.
But then he turns around and it's Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
So I remember that because my cousin was like, holy shit, a new Batman movie. And then it was Scooby-Doo. So then the movie starts. I remember the beginning. I remember Professor McGonagall turning from the cat into a witch, and I thought like, oh, that's badass. Actually, I think I do remember quite a bit of the movie. I remember like the Letters from No One chapter was done really well. I like that. I remember him talking to the snake. Actually, I think I remember the whole movie. I remember Quidditch really vividly. I don't remember a lot of the back half of the movie. Like, you remember Fluffy. You remember like the standout parts. You remember Coral.
Yeah.
But I don't have like a huge
Coral,
remembrance of like a fluidity of the movie, like from start to finish, and like a plot device aspect. It's more or less, oh, I'm young, that looks cool. So I don't remember a whole lot of it. It was only until I got older, and then I've just seen it so many times that it's cemented in my head that I have looked at it in a different way. But it was just it wasn't just another trip to the movie theater. It was like I got to skip school, and I didn't even know it. And I was like 8 at the time, I think. So it was just it was like the perfect storm of events. And then that Christmas that year, oh my God, I got every single Harry Potter thing in existence. I think that was merchandisable at the time. This was before actually the movie was really popular and came out. And I don't know if you remember this, because I don't think you do, because I tried to ask about it. This used to be the art. This is a pillowcase, by the way. This used to be the art that they would use for Harry at the time. Here's the
I
other
do remember
side.
that.
Yeah,
that's
so
what you're asking.
the glasses are still taped, they're thicker, the scar is in the middle. He would always wear a Converse and a red striped shirt and jeans. And that was what it looked like. Ron looked similar, Hermione, you know, they were more similar to the book. They didn't have reference for the characters because they weren't cast at this time. So it runs deep, you guys. And even the Gryffindor logo, that's really hard to see. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick it up, but you can see that's how
it little bit, but it's weird.
It used to look, they all used to look really different. And I used to have action figures that were based off this too. There was the Harry Potter trading card game, which used a different art style altogether, which is phenomenal. I don't know if you have remembrance of the Harry Potter trading card game. It was before the movies. It was because trading cards, Pokemon was huge in the 90s. The original book came out in 97. So there is a trading card game completely based around it, using characters and spells. Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. 98 for us, right?
I believe so.
Yep.
So also tying in with the release of the movie, Brandon actually has no experience with these, and I think it's important to mention on YouTube they're gaining a lot of popularity. And of course, Brandon, I never strike when the iron is hot in this opportunity, but given that it's Harry Potter, I might have to reconsider. But the video games are making a really, really big swing on YouTube. You probably don't know about this, but a couple years ago, there was a meme of Hagrid from the Sorcerer's Stone on PS1. Now, the PS1 has a lot of dithering. It's a 32-bit system rendering 30 or 3D graphics. They look funky sometimes. This game gets memed on a lot for the characters looking really funny, but this is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. They were actually going to make an N64 game based on the first book before the movie came out. There's a lot of history behind the video games if you look into it, but this one came out alongside with the movie. Although the movie came out in 2001 and the PS2 was out in 2000, it did not get a PS2 release until 2003, ironically enough, in a completely different console version. But this is what I had as a kid. I also had it on PC, which is a different version of this. Now, it comes in a lot of different flavors too. So this is the Game Boy Color version that released with the movie. Again, there's a Game Boy Advance version that released at a later date as well, which is really weird. But I think it's because these were new systems like the GBA and the PS2, so development costs might have been a little high. And this is the first movie these are made off of book material, as Peeves is in this. He's in a lot of the games, which is something we're going to talk about as we go on.
Well, he was originally in the movie, though.
Exactly.
Too.
So we're going to go on and we're going to talk about that.
He was in all the concept art. They filmed scenes with him. So as far as they knew, that character was going to be in the movie, because they will always make a game off of the very first screenplay that's written.
And then they also use a lot of book material is in this. If you're a fan, you're going to see a lot of things put in there. The first 3 games, I believe, EA was good at this time. I believe they had a really good fan crew working on it. This one actually has much more references in it, being it is an 8-bit Final Fantasy style turn-based RPG. The first 3 games were set up like that on the handhelds. It's a very interesting concept that works, and it's a completely different version than this. Every version of it is different. So it's, as a fan, it's really fun to go and play, but I played all of these as a kid. So that whole year of Harry Potter was amazing. Now, I don't have my original VHS tape. I do have my original DVD from 2002, though. There's that one. But we have since graduated. I do own, of course, the Philosopher's Stone here. This is the Blu-ray release of the set from the UK. It was much cheaper to do, and plus, I've always wanted a copy where they actually say Philosopher's Stone, because I'm even still so used to it. It throws me off when they do say it. It sounds different. And then this is the Big Daddy, of course. Brandon does have the same version. He did give me this plastic sleeve, so shout out to Brandon. And this is the copy that Brandon and I have recently sat down and watched. And now we're gonna transition from all of the nostalgia. Here's my original hardcover book of Sorcerer's Stone. Now, as you can see, it isn't the first printing though, because the first two, if you guys didn't know, of Chamber and Sorcerer's Stone, they didn't know it was going to be a big series. They weren't numbered for the first printing. And I believe, did you say that you have the first printing?
First edition, first printing of them all except the original, the first one. You can see though, and you can see what printing it is.
Yeah,
open up that bad boy. Let's see. Because it's the first edition, I'm sure, but that aside,
first American. It has to be the sixth one, right? Because don't the numbers go off on the number line? Because isn't the number line the edition?
It's weird with the first one. It is the 72nd edition.
72nd? How the hell is that possible?
Yep. Or 72nd printing.
Okay.
It's always the numbers on, when you're looking at it, it's the numbers on the left side.
So let me get one that I know, because that one I had a soft cover copy before I bought the hardcover one. Like I said, I didn't start collecting them hardcover until like the third or fourth. This one is beat up as shit. I was a kid and I love the cover art for this book in particular so much.
Yeah, it's good.
That I took it to school with the dust jacket on. Okay, I know it's bad, Brandon. I was a kid though, whatever. It's very beat up, but it has a lot of sentimental value to me. I was playing baseball at the time, and my mom went to go buy it at the Target that was like literally in the parking lot of like the baseball field that day. So let me, just for reference, guys, we just want to know, and then we're going to talk about the movie. Showing this giant book.
Yeah, so it's a first printing.
Okay.
So, and that one is, more impressive. If you took out Goblet, like they made hundreds of thousands of first printing of those bad boys. They were still selling them like 10 years later, the first printing. So
I've heard about that.
Which is insane. There's like a Pokemon card. I think it's Machamp. Not that matters. I bring it up though because every printing of that card is a first edition, and it kind of reminds me of the same thing, which is funny. Yeah. Let's see here. La 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 la.
All right, Pee-wee.
This is crack. Rock cocaine.
Yeah, it's a Machamp. Anyway, rather than looking up things I should be looking up, that's
right.
But I do have to say something. Two things actually. One, before I forget, I really, really, really wish they never changed the name of this movie or the book.
Really? Why?
For American audiences. Well, as you should know,
it's just something I'm so
the Philosopher's
desensitized to that I just don't even think about it.
Actually,
it exists. Yeah,
it's a real thing. The Sorcerer's Stone is nothing. It's nothing. That's not a real thing.
All right, I got to take off my rose-tinted Harry Potter glasses.
The Philosopher's Stone is a stone that grants you.
It was called the Philosopher's Stone.
It's the stone that helps
transmute
metals into gold.
Eternal life, with the invincibility.
I kind of got chills thinking about that, about introducing a real world object into Harry Potter, because mostly everything in Harry Potter while grounded in its own ethos, makes sense in its world. But that's the one thing that J.K. Rowling is great at, is creating things that don't exist for that universe that are really good. Almost everything in Harry Potter, besides the idea of like a wand or a broom, is all original. You know, it's a very well made series for that respect.
Not only
even down to the spells. If you look at the root word for each spell, it has a meaning in something. It's really well done. There's a lot behind it.
So not only did they introduce a real world object, or at least in theory, a real world object.
Yeah.
They introduced a real world guy. Nicholas Flamel was a real guy.
What?
Is the only name
yes.
of the
I did not know this.
Stone.
Yes.
What?
Let's look him up. So he was the person who came up with this idea of the Philosopher's Stone. And let's see what he actually was. He was because I don't want to get the word wrong that he was. Yeah, okay, so he's a French scribe, and it was believed that he obtained immortality rather. Yeah, so he was an alchemist. That's what I was looking up. So he was a French
scribe.
An
alchemist who tried to turn any metal into pure gold with this stone. Hermione told us all about him.
So he was a real guy, and that's important. So to take even something that is the work of a real person and even change the name of it seems a little disrespectful to me, at least, especially to something that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know, Sorcerer's Stone does not make any sense, and it bothers me. It just, it was changed, I believe, by the publishing company because they thought that it sounded cooler. And they thought that no American kids would buy something that said Philosopher on it.
Yeah, because because their rationale
stupid do they think we are?
That a philosopher would be like a professor of ideas and knowledge, not a wizard. So sorcerer obviously conjures, good word, an image of a wizard in your mind. So that's their rationale, but it's stupid. But
correct.
All of that aside, and how much it irks Brandon.
Yes,
we did want to do this retrospective. We're both huge fans of the series. Now, Brandon can tell you, when I say that I'm a huge fan of something, you got to take it with a ladle of salt, okay? And
salt.
Yeah, I would hope so.
A whole container of salt.
Now I feel like I have redeemed myself in some aspects, but when I say that I am a huge fan of Harry Potter, that's the one time you better believe it. You better believe it, baby, because I think Brandon and I have concluded that between the two of us, I am the bigger Harry Potter fan.
Oh, much more so. Yeah, you are, pretty much everything there is to know about it.
I'm obsessed, and I like it unhealthily so, like probably more so than a human should be allowed to love a franchise. But like I said, I was like 8 years old, I think, when I saw it. It was a fun little excursion. I got to skip school to go see this movie that like formed 10 years, well, at the time, 10 years worth of movies and book reading, but which now has turned to 20 years, which will be my whole life. People look back on like Star Wars, people who are a little bit older than even crustier look back at like Star Wars and Ghostbusters and like all the big things of the 70s and 80s. But you know what? This was our generation Star Wars. I had a time in my life before and after. This was in like the middle. You know what I mean? I saw it from beginning to end, even all up until Fantastic Beasts, which I have huge problems with. We can talk about that at a different time. Brandon feels very differently.
About the first one, yes.
So, I don't even know where I was going with this. I was just gushing. It's just the most. let's talk about the movie.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna get
something I
nowhere.
wanted to mention about the movie is okay, so this is the era of what is called digi doubles, and that is a
I know
CGI
exactly
term
where you're going with
where they decided that CGI was so good, sarcasm, that they could fully replace people, actors, with purely CGI. And they did this for the early 2000s. And
we have 3 notable scenes that I hope are sticking out to you. And it starts the first time you see it is Neville being thrown around on the broom at the beginning. When he goes front to back, and then he hangs, and then it cuts to Matthew Lewis, and then it cuts back, and then he falls, and then the crowd is there, like, and the crowd it goes back
falls
and forth.
Like a feather. Like it's like so wrong.
So there's that.
Yep.
There is the Quidditch scene. It's used heavily. Particularly for Harry, Katie Bell, and Fred and George a lot of the time. Actually, for everybody, really.
And there's a worse one. I hope that you get it. Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the big.
It
those
is
are the
like,
3.
and I don't want to.
We watch it in 4K. It really stands out.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Lucas. It's looked bad on VHS. I mean, it was. It was not right. And again, I'm not, crapping on the movie.
Yeah.
They were experimenting with technology,
and they were working with like 10-year-olds. I mean, I get it.
Correct. And this was not the only franchise to do it. Ironically, another WB movie, The Matrix Reloaded, was also infamous for doing digi doubles. And that kind of stuff, it does not hold up whatsoever. And it just looks like a sore thumb because it's like PS2 graphics, maybe PS3. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but
it looks like really
that's what it looks
PS3
like.
Graphics, yeah.
Yes. And I don't know, it does add charm to the movie, though. Don't get me wrong. I see it and it doesn't make me angry. I just think that's funny.
I'm trying to think of instances. So before we move on from that, I think the only other time they used the digi double, and they had to, was for Fluffy, when Fluffy wasn't an animatronic or a puppet. But since it's shrouded in such darkness in the 3rd floor corridor, you can't tell as much. So I was as we were talking about, I was trying to think, when else do they use it? Because they have to. And that's the only other time. And since it's not a character,
that would just be a CGI character. Digi double specifically talks, it's specifically, it's specifically encapsulating the performance of humans. And traditionally, it's a scene that starts off with the real person, turns into a digi double, and then ends with a real person. And it sticks out like a sore thumb because the movement of them is wrong. The clothes, the skin, everything looks like wax, and it just, they didn't quite get the weight and movement down at the time, but that's nobody's fault. It really just comes down to the fact that it was experimental, and a lot of experiments pay off. And this was one that really didn't, but kudos to them to really only having that as CGI. Obviously, there's a couple other things here and there, but they could have gone the route of Phantom Menace and made pretty much everything CGI. So,
like, even down to the Wingardium Leviosa scene, there's no CGI in that scene, which other movies would have done a CG feather floating around doing somersaults and shit. There's just a
it not? How did they move the feather around?
On wire. I mean, and here's the other thing: the floating candles in the first movie are real candles on strings.
Yes.
They,
as far as I know,
digital later on.
I think for the second movie it was the same, because it was like a Columbus thing.
So there is a lot of practicality to the effects. So we do have to. I did want to mention that as well.
Yeah. Not to mention
where it's due.
the miniature that is Hogwarts. It's gorgeous. I would
Oh
love
my
to
god.
see that in person. I believe it's at Leavesden Studios
In London.
in London,
Yeah.
along with Diagon Alley. But I would love to see that in person. I mean, it would blow my mind because it is so perfect. And you would think, but
Yeah.
things changed over time for some reason, even though they're using a real tangible object. But whatever, we don't have to get into that. This one is really great when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I wanted to throw that out there. And it is something. I know that this is only about Sorcerer's Stone, but it is something that improved significantly with Chamber of Secrets, all of that kind of stuff. They did less of the digi doubles, as well as just the CGI improved. Now I want to mention something else, and only because I really don't want to forget this. As I was watching it, I had to stop and make this note because I was reflecting on it. And now this is more a J.K. Rowling thing. It's more pertaining to even the book than it is the movie. But I was like, what flawless, perfect writing this was of these three characters, this trinity, so to speak. You have somebody who grew up completely unaware of the wizarding world, right? You have a second person who is unaware of the world, but has knowledge of it from books. So that's the middle ground. And then you have a third person who grew up their entire life in the wizarding world.
And not only that, this is an overlooked thing. It mentions it in the book much more, but I think maybe it gets mentioned by Lucius once in the second movie, but the Weasleys are a pure bloodline.
Correct.
Now that gets changed when Ron marries Hermione, but and have Hugo.
For sure.
The Weasleys are pure bloodline, but they are kind of like the hillbillies of everything. And there's a real humbleness to Ron's character. The one thing that this movie does get wrong, I understand why from a filmic perspective to play it safe, is that Ron is not the comedic relief character in the books. He is not relegated to that. In fact, yeah, Ron has his moments, but it's more or less him being stubborn with Hermione is funny.
He's
Ron
also
is very intelligent,
witty.
Yeah,
he's funny, but he's witty. It's not so much at his own expense.
And you can tell that he got that because Fred and George are his brothers. But that goes along with the writing. Everything is well written in both the books and the movies. But if I have to fault the first movie, and that's probably like the only criticism I can give the movie because it is my favorite, but I hate that they set that up for Ron to just be funny. They set him up with the spot on his nose on the train and all the stupid shit with Scabbers. And I know it's right from the book, it's fine, but it's the comedic timing of it and the fact that as movies go on, there we go. It's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. You can do something that is identical to the book in every way except the execution. It will change the entire meaning of the scene, So that's a really good point, though. I hadn't thought about that.
Good, that's what I'm here for. I have to have one episode where I have the upper ground. There has to be one.
I mean, you have it already from the beginning of this, right?
With the tech.
I've got the high ground.
I was just thinking that, Anakin. I have the high ground, Anakin.
You were my brother, Anakin.
That's
you
a whole
are my
nother...
brother.
Have I told you on a quick tangent that I really don't even care for that movie that much, except for the opera house scene? Other than that, I don't like that movie either.
No, I mean, I don't like the opera house scene.
In Darth Plagueis was
I like a lot
life.
of the stuff towards the end where he officially is like knighted Darth Vader. or Lord Vader or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm not too Darth Vader. Is that what it is? I think so. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but
Where's Padme?
I do not watch the prequels personally at all, but that's a whole different subject.
Yeah, let's
if
go
I
back to
do
Harry
watch
Potter.
them though, I will. I do watch Revenge of the Sith, but that's it. Okay. I have something that I have to say to you. And now, granted, I don't remember if it was in the book. I don't think it was, because it would have stuck out to me like a sore thumb. I've read the book. You've probably read it 2,700 times. I've read it 3 times in my life. And it's the scene. It's towards the beginning. It's in the classroom, and it bothers me. And I get that they are probably trying to paint Snape as a dick, but Harry is paying attention. He's writing everything down that is coming out of Snape's mouth.
It's in the book.
Okay. So for him to be like, pay attention. I don't even know what that was. Harry Potter.
Pay attention, Potter.
It's difficult, right?
Turn to page 394.
Pay attention, Potter. Hello, Potter. He's got like a little kind of like a to his voice.
Yes.
Hello. Pay attention. I don't know. I can't do it. It'll just be me failing for 20 minutes
practice
straight.
in the car on the way to work.
I shall.
So
but it like he's right everything right, like they don't even show what he's writing, and it's wrong. It is verbatim everything that's coming out of Snape's mouth, and for him to be like, pay attention, and forcing him to like stop writing to like look up at him, like what? I would have been like, Dick, I am paying attention. I've written everything down that you just said, douche. Like, it's, I don't know. It bothers me.
Well, this is interesting you say that. So we do have to mention there are 2 official releases of this movie. There's the theatrical cut, and yes, there is an extended edition. So the extended editions were seen on ABC Family for the first time. There's the same thing with Chamber of Secrets. Those are the only 2 that have an official Warner Brothers extended cut. Now, the only way to get that is in the, you can get it on Blu-ray, and that's the only way it's available. The theatrical one has a 4K official scan. The extended one is 1080p. So bearing that in mind, we watched the 4K version. However, in the 1080p extended cut, this specific scene you're talking about is one of the extended scenes. And then when he says, like, pity, oh, no one knows. And then he says, pity. It cuts to Harry and goes, clearly Hermione knows. Seems a pity not to ask her. And then it cuts over, and then Hermione's like, no, don't. Everyone's like, don't. Fucking Crabbe and Goyle and Malfoy are just laughing in the background. And then Snape walks up to him, twists a chair around, sits down, leans over, and goes, for your information, Potter, acony is a combination of dittany and aconite that can save you from most poisons. And he just goes off the list, and then looks at him,
everything,
and then he just goes, why aren't you all copying this down? Makes it even worse.
She was doing right from the beginning. I know, it's so annoying. It's funny. Okay, so that is such an important moment, so much so that I was like, was this something that was from the second movie? And I'm misremembering, because I thought that was there, and I was like, well, whatever, I'm probably wrong. But yes, as soon as you said that, my eyes lit up, because I'm like, yes, that is so important.
So as I'm remembering it more as well, because obviously the theatrical one is what we grew up with, and that's all that was available forever. So the only way to see the extended scenes were on the DVD and the VHS. So the VHS version of that, it's after the end credits of the movie. It plays the extended scenes. The DVD is bizarro. to say the least. You can tell it's bizarre. Just first of all, everything is cracked and old in here and falling apart. But it has
Just
this
like
weird,
us.
yeah, right, trifold design. The movie is on the first disc. The second disc has the features, but you can see some features like off the gate, like the trailers and stuff. But there are some things where you have to play like mini games with your DVD remote to unlock the features, like a game. So a lot of people have no remembrance or ability to see those scenes when they were available, because they've always been available from the get-go. So it's funny that a lot of people have no remembrance of it. And as I was saying that, I'm thinking more and more, and I said something completely wrong about Dittany and Aconite, but I meant to say that a Bezoar is the stone taken from the stomach of a goat that can save you from most poisons, which Ron or Harry remembers. He remembers this from the first book and then uses that to save Ron in the sixth. Which is also very important. So I hate that scene gets cut out. So guys, I hope you can tell that my Potter knowledge, while it was rusty for that moment, is very vast.
You are forgiven.
Thank you, sir.
Also, when we do this show, you know, we're under pressure.
We are under pressure. Ice, baby, bro. Ice, inside joke,
baby, bro.
Guys,
I'm so happy you went there with that.
Thank you.
Now I must say, despite the fact that the extended cuts of the first two movies, particularly this one, is, you know, it's so good. It's my preferred version of the movie, of course, as I do believe it is Lucas's. But I'm still missing things in it. Two things that stick out to me that I am completely missing that they filmed and completed all the necessary, you know, post-production on, for lack of a better word, is Peeves, all of Peeves scenes, and the Death Day party. These were two things that were completely filmed.
Now, when you say Death Day, we're talking about both versions, because that is Chamber of Secrets.
I guess so.
Yes, the Death Day. I don't know if you were confusing the books or if you were just
maybe is it only
cuts.
in the second one?
It's the second one, because it's actually and that's the other thing I do want to mention again. The video games are made from the reference material of the screenplay, but the books. Peeves is a recurring character in the first three games. He has a very iconic voice actor. If you played the games, everybody knows what Peeves sounds like. Potter. So when I think of Peeves, I have an idea, I have a voice, I have an image of what he's supposed to be, which is all carved from the video game. But there is a scene in the Chamber of Secrets video game where you actually attend Nearly Headless Nick's Death Day party.
Okay, that's awesome. I don't know why I thought.
And it has like the table laid out of like rotted food and everything. Like it's all there. I mean, albeit PS1 style, but
sure.
Yes, it's there. So, and I'm really shocked and upset that you didn't play the video games as a kid. You were a gamer. You grew up with it. It's really strange.
I was gonna say, when you were showing off your games there, I did have the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance ones for the first two movies.
Yes.
But none of the system ones, and I don't really know why. Looking back on them now, I mean, a lot of them get sort of trashed from a lot of people, from a graphical standpoint. But I don't remember what people were talking about at the time when it came to them. I just didn't know anybody that played them, and nobody pushed me into playing them. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why I never checked it out. I just didn't.
But yeah,
probably because, and I've never told you this.
Okay.
But I kind of grew out of Harry Potter for a period of time.
Really?
And then I came back into it. So I was huge on it for the first two movies. And maybe this is why I have certain feelings about the third movie, which we'll get to eventually. 3 years from now, we'll be we'll be right there talking about that one. And because I did not see that one in theaters, because I had gotten to a point where I just didn't care about it during that period of time.
Wow.
Yeah, it just occurred to me. I've never told you that. So it was my last year in middle school, and all of high school I had no interest in it. And
Did
then
you read the books or see the movies?
So no, I got into it when I was out of high school, and I was dating this girl named Jordan, and she was really into them, and I wanted to, go and, spend time with her. So we went and saw Deathly Hallows Part 1 in theaters. And so that kind of reinvigorated it for me.
Which also explains maybe why you also like Deathly Hallows Part 1. Maybe you have
I don't know.
I
did not like it at the time.
Things. Really? Okay.
I will tell you that I did not like it at the time. I did not because within the last 2 years I went and reread the entire series from the beginning. And I take that back. What I said. I did read the first 4 books. I just did not see the third one or the fourth one in theaters. Don't know why, but I did read those books. Now, every 5 through 7, I did not. Until 2 years ago, when I started back at the beginning and I reread everything. When I got finished with one book, I would watch the movie, and then I'd go to the next book, and then I would watch the movie, and then that's how I would keep myself going. And I knocked them all out pretty quickly because they're such, fun reads. And yeah, I had a point to this though. So I guess because of that, I just I had no interest in checking out the games because I just wasn't into it at that
Makes
time.
a lot of sense. I mean,
and
the games really.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
I just had to say one last thing, that I did not find an appreciation for Deathly Hallows Part 1 until I read the book, and then I watched the movie, and I'm like, I really like this because it's covering everything from the book. Just about. There's a couple things they missed, but they're pretty much covering everything. And I'm like, I'm so excited for Part 2 because I had never seen Part 2. And I was like, I am so damn excited. And then I saw it and I was like,
very let down.
What is this?
What's up with that? What's up with that?
My Harry Potter knowledge is so, but my Lego knowledge is
okay.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm gonna do something a little risky here. I don't know if it's gonna pay off or not, but let's see if you can see that Lego Diagon Alley over there. Can you see it?
Oh, I don't know actually, if you didn't say it was Diagon Alley, I wouldn't know that, but
I don't know if they're all 4 of them aren't connected because the table isn't exactly level. So
yeah,
they don't really connect all 4 all that well. But yeah, I would show closer detail of it. In fact, I will send photos to Lucas and we'll get better detail.
And we will insert them here and sprinkled throughout.
I'm very proud of that. That was my biggest Lego undertaking, was that right there. And I loved every single second of it because I love me some Diagon Alley, because ultimately, I almost didn't mention this, but even as an adult, certainly as a kid, but even as an adult, you want nothing more than to be able to go to Diagon Alley, than to go to Hogwarts, than to put on an invisibility cloak.
Oh yeah.
You name it. Play Quidditch. Like, you want to go to these places. And, as far as Diagon Alley is concerned, there's 2 different versions of it you can actually go to in real life. One is in Florida, and the other one is in England. And one of it operates, and the other one is just sort of unoperational, but at least it was used in the movie, so that's cool.
Now, if I had, and I'm going to go at some point, obviously, to Universal. I have not been to Harry Potter Land.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna go, but I
have not
already. I already know that I will cry. I already know that. I know it sounds funny, but I know I will. It's very.
I don't think it is funny.
I legitimately will tear up, and I know it.
I will spend. I would as well.
I would spend $100,000 easily.
Mm.
I would, and I had it all planned out. I'm gonna get sorted into my house first based off whatever the animatronic sorting hat gives me at random, and then I'm gonna have to buy the attire from Madame Malkin's robes, and I'm gonna have to get on the Hogwarts Express from that point, and then continue my journey through Hagrid's magical creature ride. We're gonna I have to go on the Gringotts ride before.
I've never been there before, so I don't exactly know the way that it works.
I don't think it's in 100% order to the movie, but I would try to do it in that way as much as I could.
As far as I know, you have to go to
get
King's
on
Cross
King's
Station
Cross,
first.
and that's how you get to Diagon Alley, and then you come back, and then you go.
Yeah. See, okay,
so it's a little out of order.
I was sort of right when I said you got back on Hogwarts Express. I thought you did, and I was got all confused.
You only get on the Express
sound even more
get
stupid.
to Hogwarts,
and then I get on it. I think you might get on it twice,
maybe to go back.
Well,
because I know that
if you
it's
want,
its own thing,
just like David S. Pumpkins. I'm David S. Pumpkins. It's like, yeah, I know that, but what are you? He's his own thing. There's more SNL tangents for you.
Clip.
Look into it. It's Lucas's favorite. It's Tom Hanks.
Oh, there we go.
In a pumpkin suit. Anyway.
Let's talk about
anyway.
Harry Potter.
So you go, and in whatever order you want, you will see Diagon Alley, you will see Hogsmeade, and you will see Hogwarts in whatever the hell order you want. You will see the night bus, and as well as also when you're in Diagon Alley, you can go to Nocturne Alley as well. So you know,
cool. And then
not in whatever order you choose.
When you get your wand, you can pay for the optional NFC wand that has the chip in there.
Oh yeah,
that'll interact.
Totally.
With it. You get a whole map you get to follow.
Yep.
Oh my god, it's so involved. And then not only that, guys, you get to go to the Leaky Cauldron and have lunch.
Yes.
And it looks just like the movie, and they got butterbeer
and
everything. And then you can go to Honeydukes when you go to Hogsmeade, and you can get they got the Weasley Wizard Wheezes. I almost broke the wand. I mean, everything is there, and it's
so
it's
cool.
Absolutely one-to-one.
And there is a fair amount of props from the movies as well. They put them out of reach. It's mostly in Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. It's the stuff
like they have
on
the
ceiling
going around on the little
I
wire.
watched a whole video of their construction of that place, which took like 7 years, and all this stuff. And there's a lot of, they said the designer and architect said there is a lot of screen used items sprinkled throughout. So
so we are talking about the first movie. I kind of want to steer back into it before we start to wrap everything up.
Dare you?
Did you know that the Warner Brothers was not the first company that expressed interest or was spoken to on a film adaptation for Harry Potter? Originally, Disney.
Sounds correct.
Originally, Disney was gonna pick it up, but under stipulation, they were gonna do the first 3 books, but there had to be a theme park attraction at Disney for Hogwarts. It was going to take place. I think they were going to have Americans be the kids, if I understand that correctly.
Yes.
And J.K. Rowling put her foot down and said no. And then Warner Brothers picked it up a few years later. And then, so this is in the 90s. This is like 98. Like, it's right when the book became huge. And that's why I said they didn't put a lot of cost of research and development into the video game for the PS2, because they were originally going to be making it on the N64. It's very, very different. Even the video games were going to come out before the movies. Like there was a whole plan for that as well. So there was a point where Disney was going to be taking over Harry Potter, and we were going to be getting a completely different, mediocre, seemingly trash version of Harry Potter, probably very homogenized. Would have been a lot more CGI doubles. Robin Williams probably would have been Hagrid. Like, I don't know what they would have done with it. But yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if you knew that little bit of trivia. Also tying back into the video games again.
I did not know it was Disney though that expressed interest. I knew about the original plans, and also John Goodman would have been Hagrid. No doubt.
You're right. I'm sorry.
How dare you? How dare you get that wrong? Robin Williams would have been shoved in there somewhere, probably as Peeves or something.
Actually, that makes total sense.
Which must be said, I meant to say this earlier, and then, one of 1,000 different things came along and distracted me probably. But we do have to give respect to the actor that did portray Peeves. Let's see here. He was in the movie Drop Dead Fred. Rick Mayall, and he is now passed, unfortunately. Passed away in 2014, which is unfortunate because he would have been able to do all the movies. But yeah, he only filmed scenes for the first movie. They cut him, and they decided to not ever bring him back for any other movies, but those scenes just are nowhere. There's not even pictures.
Nope.
Literally
the concept art to go off of with that.
Only thing I've ever seen was just it was like a picture of Rick Mayall from Drop Dead Fred, and they just kind of made him look like a ghost and put him in a Hogwarts hallway. But I must say as well that even though Rick Mayall never came back for Chamber of Secrets or beyond, there must be something out there, that showed concept art of him. And the reason I say that, and I'll say this and we'll move on, and I showed you this, Lucas, is in Wizards Unite, Harry Potter Wizards Unite. There is a Peeves in that looks exactly like Rick Mayall. So it sort of paints a picture,
I remember us talking about that,
of potentially what that would have looked like, because he's tall, he's not short, like he's the size of a normal ghost, and he's just wearing funky clothes and has funky
like the jester
hair
thing.
And the jester thing, and his face looks like Rick Mayall. And I'm like, I bet that's what it would have been, in all honesty. And we'll put a picture of that here, if you don't know what that looks like. I think it's pretty good. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, that's cool, because you always think of Peeves as being a short creature.
That's what and I'm probably, again, the video game thing. I gotta stop bringing the video games into it. I love them, but
it's interesting though about that character is that he is a poltergeist, and the series is true to the fact of like what a poltergeist is, and it's not an intelligent being. Like, it's not an actual ghost. Poltergeists are literally just they're just energy. Basically, they're non-intelligent energy that are just sort of like infect spaces. So and I remember it's like Dumbledore brought him into the castle for some reason. I can't remember the reason why, but he brought him in. So he's not a ghost. He's really not. He's a poltergeist, and that's a whole thing there. But enough about Peeves, I guess. I do have to say, I'm going to mention two more things, then you can say whatever you want to say, and then we'll bring this episode to a close. But I should be shot on sight and have my head chopped off if I didn't mention the best Dumbledore to ever be portrayed, Richard Harris.
Fine.
You know, I feel
both just
so
fine.
strongly in that way.
At times,
surprisingly, there's a
forget how
huge
much
number
you've
of
grown.
people that really do
But
like Michael
I
Gambon.
don't get that. I
because
don't get that at all. I'm sorry.
This is the thing about Richard Harris. He brings not only this refined, wise, calm, grandfatherly, yes, 100% it.
Yep.
He is a much different role model for Harry than somebody like Hagrid or Sirius, which are some of his first role models in the series. Dumbledore is different. He is not an energetic, zippy, I'm going to tell you what's up, I'm Michael Gambon kind of aura. Like, that's what I think of when I think of Michael Gambon. I don't like the visual difference. I don't like how the voice went from really soft and this mirror gives us neither knowledge nor truth. You know, and then you think of Mike.
I see myself wearing warm socks.
Yep, that's not, what do you see, Professor? Oh, holding a pair of wool socks.
He would turn from that and say, "What do you see, Professor?"
Oh God,
I see it.
I
see me holding a pair of warm socks. Warm socks on my feet. Hurry! Why would you ask me such a question? Of course, I'm wearing warm
the
socks on my
only
feet.
time I think Michael Gambon gives a actual good performance is during the memory scenes of Half-Blood Prince, which aren't even particularly faithful.
Yes, he's good
but
in
I
that
think
movie.
he's very, the way he like explains everything to Harry is like, all right, Harry, like you need to really pay attention because this sets up for a lot of what you need to know about the horror. Like for once, he's commanding in a good way. And then the scene with the Inferi in the cave is good too. The death is debatably done, but
whatever.
Yeah,
he kind of gets abnormally angry and weird, but in a way that he doesn't in the book. But
Richard Harris is perfection as Dumbledore. And it's so funny that the only reason he said he didn't want to do it, but obviously, you know the story, his granddaughter said, if you don't do this movie, I will never speak to you again. Oh, you didn't know that? That's the only reason why Richard Harris did it.
That's very interesting. And well, I'm happy that his granddaughter did that, and that we were able to get two movies with him.
And it's so funny, that even though we've had basically, I mean, even though he's dead in part 1 and 2, we still see him. We have 6 movies with Michael Gambon. And when you say Dumbledore, I mean, there's not an inkling of me that thinks of the Michael Gambon portrayal once.
Absolutely not. I agree. I either think of Richard Harris or I think of the version in my mind from the books, which basically is Richard Harris.
Yeah. And even down to that point, I mean, the casting in general for the adults, they're all British heavyweights. I mean, it's really hard to see anybody else in these roles. Maggie Smith is also phenomenal as Professor McGonagall. Not only does she have the glasses that are perched low, the tight bun with the pursed lips, and she's really stern, but she's a damn good person and really caring. She knocks it out of the park. Of course, Alan Rickman as Snape is absolutely amazing. Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid, you can't get better than that. And then even what's his name? Richard Griffiths as Uncle Vernon. I can't remember who is Aunt Petunia. But even them, even though she's not blonde, whatever, I don't care about that. You know, Dudley's
as
not
well
blonde,
as
hoo-hoo.
Argus Filch. I mean, can you picture anybody else in that role
with the hook nose, the hair, the look,
the teeth? Yeah.
I mean, just everything about it. That also continues. I mean, you get Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart's amazing. it was David Thewlis, and then Imelda Staunton as Umbridge. I mean, you just go on and you get British heavyweight after heavyweight.
The casting is great. I must say this though, if I can deliver one last critique of the movie, so this will be my third one. Actually, it'll be my second, since I was an idiot about the Death Day party, but that must have taken place in Halloween in the second book, because the whole chapter Halloween in the first book, which is obviously is where the troll, it throws me off, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, there was something missing about Dumbledore that for some reason in my mind I always thought was in either the first or second movie, and it just never was, and not even in the extended editions. And it's just one tiny little character detail that I loved in the books that was never in the movies, and that is where Dumbledore would randomly stand up at the dinner table and he would just have a random really toast, weird, and I had to look it up what things. It was, and it's
Nitwit, blubber, oddment, tweak,
tink, or something.
And then tweak. Thank you. Tweak. And then he would sit down, and then it was like Harry or whatever. That's like, he's quite mad, isn't he? You know. And then like Fred and George are like, mad. He's a genius. You know, whatever. You know, just that kind of stuff, because it happens a couple times in the book, and for some reason in my mind I picture that scene where it's like, he's quite mad, isn't he? You know, like that thing. And it never happened. It was never
Richard
filmed,
Harris
as far as I
too.
know.
No,
yes. And neither Richard Harris nor Michael Gambon,
Michael Gambon.
Oh, especially. I used to have a film teacher that used to pronounce it Michael Gambone, and he'd be like, I hang out with Michael Gambone in London every time I go. Like he was bragging. Okay. And it's like, you don't even know his name. So Michael doubt Gambone. It. I really doubt it. You'd be like, Michael Gambone is one of my closest friends.
Yeah, okay. That's why you're here.
Like, yeah, I'm sure. Whatever. I just think about that. Every time I hear his name mentioned. But yeah, especially him. Richard Harris could have gotten away with it very easily, but I was just always kind of shocked that they never put that in there, because he makes dinner speeches.
They get rid of a lot of the quirks of that character for sure. I think they want him to be portrayed as more wise and not really have that silly side. But I mean, I guess not that Dumbledore could really lose his humanity, other than but it's
put your name in goblet fire. You put your name in goblet, Harry. You put your name in a goblet fire.
Oh, he turned into like Sean Connery toward the end.
Well, you got to go Irish with it, because that's what Michael Gambone is.
Yeah, he's not French. Gambon.
Yeah, because he's like, you put your name in a goblet, Harry. You put your name in a goblet of fire.
Yeah, so as far as the casting is concerned, everything is good, except for we don't like Michael Gambon, and I don't think I ever will. Except for, like I said, in Half-Blood Prince, I find him exceptionally tolerable.
Yes, indeed. And then I have one last thing to say, and then you can, do whatever, if you have anything else to add in. But we would be remiss, my friend, if we did not talk about the score by Mr. John Williams.
I'm really happy you brought that up. I'm very happy you brought that up, actually.
It's not everything, but it's almost everything. It's flawless.
Oh, when the music swells from the theme song, and I don't mean like there's like the theme song from the beginning when the movie plays, like the calm piano version of Hedwig's theme,
right?
But I prefer the one at the end credits, where it's more of an orchestra, and then it does, and then it transitions to like it's like do 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 do, and it does the whole fanfare, and it does the Quidditch theme after, and it's like huge.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, every song from that movie, from the score, has a purpose. Nothing seems like it was recorded to be cool. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm not the biggest musically oriented guy. The themes are absolutely iconic. The setting is wonderful. One of my favorite songs from it, I don't even know the name of it, but you know the song that plays like every time they do like the B-roll of Hogwarts in like the winter or something, and it's like do 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 do, and then like Hedwig lands on Harry's arm and then flies away. It's so cheerful, and this is one thing that we've talked about before, is that the movie really reminds us of Christmas. Even though Christmas is only a fraction of both of those movies.
Yeah.
And I think the music might have something to do with that. It's so
also ABC
jolly.
Family has something to do with that.
Really? Oh yeah, because they always play them around that time or whatever.
And only around that time.
Okay.
For some reason. But yes, the music, the fact that again, it's John Williams that did the music for Home Alone.
The first three.
And there is a lot of crossover between Home Alone and Harry Potter when it comes to the music.
Yeah.
So much so that I'll be singing one of them at work and somebody will confused. They'll get the wrong one. They'll be like, why are you singing the Home Alone theme? Or they'll be like, why are you singing the Harry Potter theme? And I'll be like, I'm not, I'm singing this. There is a very distinct
sound mesh.
Yes.
This thing. That's
I wonder how long I would have kept doing that for. But there is definitely a bit of crossover. Overlap, yes. Nothing against John Williams. The guy's a genius. In fact, I love that there is that overlap. And for me, that also adds to the Christmassy element and Chris Columbus. And, it's just, it's just so, it's snowy in the movie sometimes. And
now
like a feast.
Yeah, whatever. And then
I'm getting way too hot. I almost made it. But then I get to the point where I have to pee, and then that just makes everything fall apart for me. But whatever. So that still rocking the Slytherin.
So actual closing thoughts this time. Obviously, I know quite a bit about Harry Potter. It's my favorite movie ever of all time. As you guys can see, my knowledge is vast. The passion runs deep. Like I said, when I say I'm a fan of things, I guess take the other things with a grain of salt. But I do want to mention, though, there were 3 series that were actually running in tandem with each other at this time. And they're all 3 huge franchises, but it just seems that everyone seems to always remember Harry Potter standout,
Sure.
But these 3, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and the prequels, were all coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy to me that, Lord of the Rings has a much different fan base than Star Wars, as do Harry Potter. All 3 fandoms are kind of different. Lord of the Rings, Harry
There's
Potter,
also
Star
a lot
Wars,
of overlap there.
Yeah. But Lord of the Rings people are a little different, as we've talked about on numerous occasions.
They can be, yes, for sure.
But yeah, it's funny because I didn't even care about Star Wars growing up or Lord of the Rings until I got older, because I was such a Harry Potter nut hugger to the point where I was like, I only have room to be obsessed with 2 series, and that was Harry Potter and Toy Story. I like the official badging on there.
Yes.
So
I'm actually gonna wear this thing.
Cool. You should wear it this year.
Winter comes.
Yeah, I'll get my Gryffindor one.
Yes, and if it wasn't obvious enough, I am a Slytherin officially, and
now,
I've been
sorted into all 4 houses at different points in my life, so I don't know what the hell I am anymore. But
what was the Pottermore one though? Because the Pottermore one, as far as I know, it won't even let you retake it. You're done baby.
You're done.
You take it once and that's it. It tells you to accept it. Because whatever your Pottermore one is, that's the official.
I believe it was Slytherin for that one.
Okay, well then that would be what you actually are then, because for people that don't know, it asks you some really off the wall questions that when I took it, they were deep questions. When my niece and nephew took it,
Yeah,
it was even
different.
deeper questions. And for me, it was just like, out of these 27 cats, what's your preferred cat? And out of these, what subject would you like to study out of these 37 subjects? How would you consider yourself? Use some adjectives out of these 333 different adjectives on the screen. So it's like and it was like 20 to 30 questions. And it was so much so, and I've told Lucas this before, that initially I was disturbed when I got Slytherin.
Me too. I was
the way
so
it's
pissed.
portrayed in the books and the movies. And then finally it was, I used to work with this girl, Ashley, at work. And there was a group of us, like a group of like 4 or 5 of us that all got Slytherin. And she was just like, didn't you see that test? Those questions were some really deep-seated psychological questions. And I was like, yes. And she's like, so that's what you are, whether you like it or not. And then I thought about it and I was like, that's true. Like it was so detailed. I could not have answered them a different way. It was me, truly. So it's like, I must truly be a Slytherin. And that's how people feel about Pottermore. You're the only one. And I know why. You're the only one that doesn't hold Pottermore at the highest esteem. And that's because you are a Slytherin and you haven't accepted it for whatever reason.
I just remember
that's the official one, man. I mean, that it's all.
So it's funny too. So, I mean, in relation to the first movie, the Sorting Hat quiz has been around since the first movie. There was HarryPotter.com. It was a very, very basic 2001 website, but there was like a flash game on there where it was like 5 questions long. And it's like, do you consider yourself brave, smart, cunning,
right?
Loyal? It's like literally
it
like,
trash.
what do you want? Do you want a snow owl, a barn owl, a tawny owl, or a cat, or a toad? And then if you get cat, it's probably Slytherin. It's so bizarro, horribly done.
Yeah, it's awful.
So yeah, I had done it on there, and I do believe the second time I took it, and I was like, oh, I'm not really a Slytherin. I made like a new email account to do it because it locks you. You can't do it again.
Exactly.
And, yeah, so I guess I just got to accept it for what it's worth.
Yeah, I've accepted it.
Which
completely.
I mean, it's not like it makes you a bad
it's
person.
What I am.
Because I mean, and of course, guys, I know this is just a book, and that's what we're talking about here. But if we like look at it like logistically, I mean, there are Slytherins who are not bad people. I guess like the one that does come to mind, of course, is going to be Snape, because he's not an inherently bad person, which is one of the best things ever done with that series. Even as well as Slughorn, who has his problems, is at heart a good person as well.
Right.
It's just that they don't get shown the light. Even in the books, it's really not talked about too
much. They even
much.
Shit on them in the movies, though, like in the last movie where McGonagall's like, Slytherins to the dungeons. And it's like, what are you doing to my people, lady?
Right.
These are fine people that you're screwing over. Can be just as many bad people from any other house as there is from Slytherin. So, leave my people alone. Let my people go. And let's face it, I love the color green. So
see, and that's what conflicts me because I Hufflepuff is like that purple and yellow color.
Well, Ravenclaw is purple and blue, right? It is. Hufflepuff is like yellow and red or yellow and orange or something like that.
Here,
Ravenclaw.
Here, I'm gonna go to Google Images so I can look at the various crests that I'm thinking of.
Indeed.
Here we go. This page actually has all of them. Has the one from the movie and from the book.
Yes,
So,
indeedy. Yeah, Hufflepuff is yellow and black, exactly what I thought, and Ravenclaw is blue, purple, and yellow.
There's one.
See, I was right. I knew something Lucas didn't know.
I couldn't remember off the top of my head.